Absolutely. But if you don't have the knowledge, you don't know what to apply. You've got to have the knowledge. And this is why we focus in Islam on correct aqidah. If your understanding of Islam is incorrect, your practice will be incorrect. You see, there is a fallacy, there is a saying when I grew up that practice makes perfect.
Yes.
I don't believe that.
Oh,
No. Because let's look at something. Now, do we have any baseball players in the room?
no. Oh, yes.
Yes. Okay, brother. You have to hold the ball, your two hands like this, right? On like the red part, the little stitch part, and then you like, and let it go, right? Now, let's say that somebody taught me that the way you throw the baseball is you grab it with your fist and you roll it like a cricket ball, and you go like that. I don't care how many years I do that, practice, I'm never going to be a good baseball player, and I'm not going to play in the big leagues because I don't know what I'm doing. I got some knowledge, but it's wrong knowledge. It's how to roll, it's how to do the cricket ball instead of the baseball.
You met the wrong person, dude.
Yeah, I met the wrong person. And that's a great point, Nasser. Because there are new Muslims today that get on Sheikh Google and they get the wrong person. And Sheikh Google tells them, you want to be a good Muslim? Don't join ISIS. And it happens.
No way.
Yes, it happens. Girls are now doing it. Girls are leaving this country.
They are crazy.
Knowledge liberates and frees us. Correct knowledge. And I need to fix that side. Correct knowledge liberates and frees us. Even correct knowledge of the self. The great scholar said to know yourself is to know Allah. Surah 39, Al-Zumar. Are those equal, those who know, who are learned, and those who do not know? No. We know that indulging the self and serving the freedom of the self, which we call free will, without proper restraints and control, we will disengage from the freedom of exalted knowledge. Let me ask you, which is more attractive? To sit in front of a sheikh and say, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. And I probably didn't do that very well. Or to go to Winter Park Village or Cobb Theater or Fashion Square Mall and watch a movie and escape. And listen to curse words and see people fight and listen to gunshots. And I don't want you to answer that question. But we have to look inside ourselves and say, which one do I spend more time doing? What is the balance in my life? What excites me? What thrills me? The Quran says that those who love Allah, when Allah is mentioned, they have a thrill in their heart. And many scholars have translated that and have written about that and say that when people talk about Allah, it makes them cry. It opens the windows of the soul. And they begin to cry. Because they feel connected to that spirit, that ruh of Allah. If we are busy with our love for eating and our love for different kinds of food and different qualities and quantities of food, and if that's what we want to do most of the time, will we be able to be the student or athlete exemplar? Will we? No. If I want to be an Ironman triathlon, can I go and have a dozen donuts in the morning for breakfast and a dozen eggs and a pound of turkey bacon, of course halal, and then at least 4 or 5 biscuits, and then have big huge chocolate bar in the afternoon, and then in the evening have a piece of cake, and then maybe whatever.
We'll roll you out of it.
I won't be able to run, but perhaps they can just roll me. Yeah. If we do this, if our focus, and for those of, some of you were there last night, you'll hear just a little bit of what I said last night again, but repetition is a great teacher.
Yes.
If, when we race to the masjid, when we have finished our physical part of the fast, hopefully mostly spiritual, and we push everybody out of the way, excuse me, I'm starving. Is that a spiritual fast or a physical fast that you have just completed? It's a physical fast. You have forgotten about God consciousness. All you are thinking about is the pains of your stomach. And you have forgotten about adab, etiquettes. You have forgotten about not being angry. You've forgotten about sabr, patience. Some of the things that we'll have on the report card later.
You go in Rosa here, and the stronger people will push the weaker and older people from the line.
And that is the disease of the heart of usurping power. I am better than he is or she is because I'm bigger and I got more money or more power. Is that a heart ailment?
Yes.
It means the next day for Ramadan we need to work harder. Perhaps in Ramadan we might benefit. This is the first time I've ever said this and I'm kidding. Maybe we would benefit from Haram police. Oh, brothers and sisters, you know, I mean, we can put our arm around them and take them to the side and say, you know, you might want to work on that tomorrow. Can I help you in any way? If we do this, and I see it every year, we go to Taraweeh, and it's like this. Allahu Akbar. You know, it's sort of like I'm zoning out, I'm yawning, I'm tired, and I'm sitting there. How many rakats are we on? Oh God, when is this going to be over? I'm so tired. And I'm thinking about, I can't wait to sit on my lounge chair, or my massager, or go home and have a cup of tea. All about my desires. Or maybe tonight I won't go to Taraweeh because I don't want to miss Blue Bloods or NCIC or help me out, folks. Walking Dead. Scandal. Whatever it is. And after all, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he didn't go every night. And that one night becomes 10. And I'm fasting a spiritual fast. I don't think so. Imam Ghazali talks about the shaitan running in the veins of the human being. In order to run, you have to have what? Legs. Very good. In order to use those legs, what do you need though?
Energy.
Energy.
Stamina.
Stamina. So some people make sure I'm going to get plenty of stamina tonight. When that fast breaks, I'm going to get all the stamina I can find. But since my blood sugar plummets, and help me doctors if I'm wrong here, since my blood sugar plummets, since I've been fasting all day, I get the sugar blues. I eat all those carbs, and of course people that come to this message, you know you get 4 cups of rice on your plate. And for those that are predisposed to diabetes, what does that do to sugar?
Spikes it.
It spikes. And then you want to say, oh, I'm having a fast, mashallah. Maybe you would do better to eat some protein. Bring a bag of almonds. And you wouldn't then stink out the masjid. With the garlic and the onion and the other things that come with that. I'll leave it to your imagination. Eating too much disengages us intellectually. How many people want to eat an all-you-can-eat pancake breakfast before you go for an exam? One person, okay. But you see, look at him. You said you want to say something, or you agreeing with me?
Well, I'm agreeing with you. I want to go.
And you will be sharp on the exam?
Yeah.
Yeah, look at him. Stand up. In order to be able to have an all-you-can-eat breakfast pancake, that's what you need to look like.
My cricket.
What's that?
My cricket.
Exactly like that, brother. Thank you. For those of us who have reached what we call the age of discernment, but we can't discern the difference between a physical and a spiritual fast, most of us will not do well to do that.
No, but I see the people who eat pancake, they are fat.
They're what?
They are very fat pancakes.
I eat pancakes all the time.
Well, I don't want to get into that because I think that takes us into another physical realm. I want to stay with the spiritual, inshallah. Hungry people are often irritable people who choose to serve the desires of their stomach. If I am irritable, is that a heart or a physical manifestation? It's a heart manifestation. So when I'm irritable, I need to say, oh Allah, give me the consciousness that I need in this moment because I am fasting. You see, it is the month of fasting. Even in the hours that I'm not physically abstaining from food, drink, and conjugal relationships, I am still in the month of fasting. I'm still working to fast my tongue, to fast my ears. That was another one I wanted to write on the report card. I knew there was something I'd forgotten. It's called ear control. More comes to me as I go. What is a sin to say in Islam is a sin to listen to. When we came into the world, most of us, the first thing that our parents did is they called the adhan in our ear. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. And that was the first thing we ever heard. Perhaps when we see ourselves deviating from that part, the first thing we need to do is say, Allahu Akbar, Allah, and bring ourselves back to that consciousness. If you were to do that for 30 days, how do you think it would affect you in the month of Shawwal? That's the month following Ramadan.
Be centered more and focused on purpose.
Continuing to fast your ears and tongue.
The psychologists of the world today say that it takes 21 days to establish a new habit. So Allah is merciful,
Or break it over.
or to break an old one. Gives us 30. That's how merciful Allah is. He gives us another 9 days. If you are focused on an insatiable desire for fun, your nafs, yourself, will want the freedom to just be a couch potato, to search the television or internet, and indulge in all types of entertainment and fun, browsing and surfing. If you take the remote control at many people's house, the one for surfing, the paint is worn off of it. Now I wonder if your Quran has any worn pages because you've used it to the same degree. If you keep doing that, would it engage you intellectually to be an A student or to be a devout Muslim? What Sister Sadia said, Dr. Sadia said in the beginning of the class is what you put into this month is what you will get out.
What goes around, come around.
Fasting as prescribed by Allah intends to liberate us from the self and to make us conscious of Allah, to extol Allah, to be grateful to Allah, to make dhikr. Every day when I'm eating and drinking and focusing on materialistic things, it is easy for me to disengage from His love, mercy, and compassion upon us, and in denial of those addictions to food, drink, entertainment, and other passions, to the point that I fail to realize that there is life beyond these things. Another dimension, the spiritual. Yes, sister. Oh, mashallah. Did everybody get that? Every day when I am eating and drinking and focusing on materialistic things, it is easy for me to be disengaged from His love, mercy, and compassion upon us, and in denial of those addictions to food, drink, entertainment, and other passions, to the point that I fail to realize that there is life beyond these things. In other words, another dimension called the spiritual world. There is joy, pleasure. I'll never forget that one night at Olympia High I was doing a fundraiser and the program was just messed up. It got so late and the people were worn out by the time I got ready to ask them to give. And I came in and I said, how many want to create joy in your life tonight? Sort of like a Southern Baptist preacher. Everybody raised their hand. Some people raised 2. And I said, then get out your wallets. And everybody started leaving. A lot of people left. I'm not kidding you. Because let me ask you something. If you give something to someone, do you create joy for yourself?
Yes.
If you do something kind to an orphan, do you create joy for yourself?
Yes.
If you speak hatefully to someone, do you create joy for yourself?
No.
No. You create the opposite for them and for you.
Guilty conscience.
There is joy, pleasure, and happiness in a source that is not physical and materialistic, like food, drinks, and entertainment that delude us to believe they are the means and way to pleasure and happiness. Allah tells us in the Quran that the world is nothing but a delusion of grandeur. I think the king of delusion was probably Walt Disney. We put our children in front of Walt Disney movies that are named things like The Lady and the Tramp. And we love it. Or we put our children in front of movies like Ariel, who disobeyed her father, and the whole world celebrates Ariel. Is that a delusion or not? Is that not an institutional teaching that is teaching people I don't have to obey my parents and I can be glorified by being a tramp or associated with a tramp? Is that a heart problem or a physical problem?
Heart.
It's an ailment of the heart. What you put into your mind, talk about correct knowledge, people. And I know I made some enemies this morning because everybody just loves those little Disney movies. MashaAllah. Even people say MashaAllah. MashaAllah that I teach don't marry people that are not from among Islam, which is the one where the girl marries somebody that's not from our people, the one that has the little crab in it. And the
Ariel.
Ariel. Okay, Ariel. All right, I got it.
All of them kind of.
Or
Okay.
Aladdin.
Aladdin.
Yeah.
And we glorify in that stuff. Because our knowledge base is something is wrong with our knowledge base. I ask you from your heart, is that a healthy lesson? No. I know. And I expect you to struggle with it. Because nobody else has ever said it to you, probably.
They all live happily ever
And
after.
if you love it, that's between you and Allah. But at least your consciousness has been pricked, and you are contemplating and reflecting on what is the message I'm giving my child. Is it contrary to the Quran, or is it in alignment with the Quran and the Sunnah? And I'm sorry, but if it is contrary to the Quran and the Sunnah, then it doesn't fly in my book. But I respect your book. And I accept and affirm whoever you are and wherever you are. But I do want to make you think. Yes?
Not marrying people among yourselves does not necessarily mean people that are not from your tribe.
I'm talking about religion.
People that
Thank you
are
for making that clear. People nowadays, one of the biggest questions I get is, why can't I marry somebody that's not a Muslim? And my question is, where is your heart? What is it that you actually desire in this person? Is that an Islamic precept? Is that an Islamic heart? Is that a heart of taqwa? Is that a heart of God consciousness? Or is that a heart of American ideology that says, this is my body and I can do with it whatever I want to? I can have a tattoo. I can have a piercing. I can have this. I can have that. Doesn't that then become a physical focus? And we are taught that at school. My best friends in high school said, well, you must be gay because you don't want to have sex. Yeah. I was a Christian minister. How could I do that? How can I preach and then not practice? I was at least smart enough to figure that one out. At least 5 times a day we must interrupt what we are doing, and what we are doing is usually mundane and temporal, to train ourselves to realize that we must break from these things so that we don't become dependent, addicted, and a prisoner of what we do daily and our desires. We break from the daily mundane so that our inner self connects with the source of peace, Allah, and does not get accustomed to being in a state of focus on the material, mundane, and worldly things. Allah in His mercy gave us prayer and fasting to break us from self-addictions, so that we realize that there is something else that is greater than the self, and we don't continue to be consumed with our compulsions, whims, desires, and impulses. The world and our desires, if they are not drawing me closer to the source of peace, are detrimental to my eternal soul. If I am not being drawn to the source of peace, then it is a sign that my eternal life is not perhaps in best stead. Does everybody get that? This is how our heart dies. This is how we develop more and more inner ailments, more greed, more arrogance, more pride, more prejudice, and the list goes on. The more I get physically, the more I want physically. The more I satisfy my lower self, the more I want from my lower self. And what's so beautiful about this is that the more I please God, the more I want to please God. Because the more I experience that inner peace, the more I want to wear my thicker beads out. The more I want to focus on how can I be at peace? How can I have this experience of freedom? Because you see, when someone makes you angry, who has your power? They do. You're not free. How many times has somebody called us and they took our power away? Just because of something they said. Allah gives us respite, fasting at least once during the year. For 1 month, in addition to the highly recommended days for fasting like Monday and Thursdays, and the 3 days in the middle of the month, and the month of Sha'aban, and the 6 days of Sha'awal following the Eid, as an opportunity to liberate our lower self from the attachments and addictions that we may develop for other created things. Allah has set in place a mechanism whereby we can learn to control these physical desires if we implement it. But if our physical desire is so strong, ain't nobody got time for that, then that's exactly what you will develop. For Allah's sake, everyone here knows that we are not only a physical being. Many of us go to sleep and travel in our dreams. We travel to the past and the future in our dreams. This is not the characteristic of a physical dimension. We are more than just that. Sometimes we experience things in our dreams and we think they're real and we wake up. Are they real?
No.
No. But let me tell you what is real. The haqq. The truth from Allah is the only thing that is real. It is the only thing that will give you peace. If you are in connection with the source of peace, you will have peace and you'll be able to give it. If you're not connected with the source of peace, you won't have peace and you can't give what you don't have. If somebody comes to me today and says, brother, can I borrow $5 from you? And I pull my wallet out and I don't have any money in there, I can't give it to you. If somebody says, brother, can I have some water? I say, yeah, here. Because I've got some. If I don't have it, can I give it?
No.
And that just leads me to say that we as men are the what to our household? The shepherds of our household. The imams of our household. We have to have this in order to give it to our family, our flock. I can tell you that my good moments in parenting were always when I was being validated by the Quran or the teachings of the Sunnah, and I was aware of it and I was consciously implementing what Allah or what I had seen or read the messenger do in terms of parenting. We feel physical pain in one dimension and emotional pain in another. And I know that many of you today are in pain. We have pain about many, many things. Sometimes our marriage, sometimes our children, sometimes our parents. Whatever, we have pain. We feel joy, and that is only available in the spiritual realm. Can anybody here buy joy?
We wish.
When we go to school and we think, is that physical or spiritual? The mind. Is that physical or spiritual? It's physical. Now I need to put stuff in the mind that will go down to the heart and feed the heart, because the mind is like the bulb of an oil lamp. I have to have the knowledge here to feed this, and out of this will become a wick that will be stabilized by the globe, which I clean 5 times a day when I pray, which is a spiritual exercise. I execute it physically, but the desire, the intention, and khushu'ah that comes out of that is a spiritual exercise. How dare human beings say to themselves or impose on others philosophies of life that are utterly materialistic, humanistic, and devoid of the spiritual, and impose these institutional philosophies on us. Today in high schools in America, there is an institutional philosophy teaching people to be agnostics. Our high school students that know about that, will you tell me if you've ever heard of any of this? That it's popular to be agnostic in high school. to not know what you believe in, or to be atheist? Anybody here know about it?
Yeah.
Yes. Raise your hand if you know about this. There is a concerted effort to promote atheism and agnosticism in the world today. There are many books. Just go and Google it. This is the time I'll tell you to Google it. There is an institutional effort to take people away from the spiritual. It is normal that we know that we need things that don't have anything to do with eating, drinking, copulating, sleeping, developing the ego, and worshiping or serving the self. If you listen to a child talk, you will learn very quickly that they have lost this at a very early age sometimes. Just give them about 2 years of public school, and when they come home, they no longer talk about Salah. They talk about, I want this game and that game and this box. Xbox is out, right? Now what is it?
Well, Xbox Wii.
Wii, whatever. You see, I don't know these things, but Allah help me.
Xbox isn't, yeah. Xbox.
Xbox.
Still Xbox.
It's still Xbox. Thank you, brother. Keep me on track, okay? I need you.
You never had it, so.
So, you see, we're not like a stone. We're not just a thing. We are a spiritual being created on the fitrah of Allah. Allah created men and jinns for naught, except that they worship Him. But think about it. The sun and the moon are Muslims. The sun rises every day at the command of Allah. And the sun sets every day at the command of Allah. The tide comes in and the tide goes out in obedience to Allah. All the creation of Allah except humans recognize, I must submit, I must surrender to Allah. That's what the Ramadan is about. How can I forget the things outside of the material realm? How do I nourish these things? The things I'm talking about are not nourished by eating, sleeping, drinking, copulating, and playing. I must find out, if I don't know how to develop the soul and form it in accordance with what it is meant to be, what it was made for and imbued with, which is the consciousness of Allah. We will not find any commercials, I don't think, about being good, generosity, forgiving one another, or being humble. Has anybody seen a commercial on CNN or Fox lately about that? MashaAllah, about being good? Alhamdulillah. How often, brother?
Not much.
So maybe, is it daily aired? No, not even daily aired. But how many have we seen that says, eat this, wear this, do that, and if you don't, you won't be cool? Let me tell you the only way to be cool. The only way to be cool, calm, and collected is to have your heart connected to the cool, calm, and collected. That's Allah. Consider the human self or personality and how it is formed in accordance with what it is meant to be, what it is made for, and how it is imbued with moral failings as well as with consciousness of God. To a happy state shall indeed attain he or she who causes the self to grow in purity, and truly lost is he or she who buries it in darkness and denial. By the soul in the proportion and order given to it, and its enlightenment. Where do we get enlightenment? Where do we get light? From the Quran, from Allah. As to its wrong and its right. Truly he succeeds that purifies it, and he fails that corrupts it. The fast of Ramadan liberates us from our passions and addictions and reminds us that there is life beyond the physical life. There is joy beyond material things. During Ramadan, when we abstain voluntarily from those elements I mentioned, we also begin not only to talk about kindness and compassion, but actually feel kindness and compassion and actualize it more. When we voluntarily stop from eating from dawn until sunset, and perhaps if we do that with focus, then we begin to realize that what it might mean to be homeless or to be without food. Or we can just think about ourselves. At least when we fast, we have a home to go to, and for many of us, we visit many of our friends' homes to break our fast. If we are involved internally with our fasting, then we begin to know what it is to be hungry, and our hunger is by choice. But there are those who are hungry by necessity, and they don't have homes to go to and break their fast. Do we think about them in the month of Ramadan? Yeah. If we understand what fasting really means, being conscious, being Allah conscious, actualizing Islam in our life, it will enable us to develop consequently compassion and care for those in need, for those that are desperate, for those that are homeless, and for those that are hungry. The beauty of the concession of those who have diabetes or other diseases and they cannot fast, Allah said, feed the poor what you would have eaten that day. And in the years, as many of you know, from 2003 to 2013, I was in the hospital multiple times every single year. 2014 was the first time, and since 2003 I did not spend numerous times in the hospital. I cannot tell you what a joy it is to go downtown and feed the poor. And to try to say, there but by the grace of God go I. Allah has blessed me to